United had their Mellons twisted on Saturday as that sweet, sweet unbeaten home record came to an end in a disappointing manner. Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to Under the Abbey Stand, the review show. I am Jordan Warland, and helping me chew the fat over everything that went on Saturday as we lost to Oldham is a man who is not afraid of a risky joke. It's Mr. Matt Caspel. Good evening, sir.
Hello, mate. Mate, what unbeaten run are we talking about?
That's what you're calling up? You're not calling up the risky joke comment?
We're sidestepping that. I thought about making a statement because I've insulted some of our lower IQ listeners, apparently. But no.
Oh, you're doing it again. You're doing it again, man.
But no.
No, I love all our listeners, and I will not stand for this. I will not stand for this. I
think that's just unacceptable behaviour. Just turns out we're entering my shock jock era, apparently. So just do anything for attention.
I love all our listeners. I just think some of them are slightly more savvy, and they've signed up for the coconut tier, where you get exclusive content every week for a mere £5. That's savvy. It's also savvy to get yourself to the Old Spring on a match day, where you can get half-price pints for an hour after full time. Needed them on Saturday. You can also get their meal deal special. Match days, 3 different dishes on there. Get a pint with it. Any pint, as was discussed on the previous show, not just like a cause or something piss poor like that.
Proper pints.
A proper pint.
And the skepasti as well, don't forget.
Well, it's one of the free options, mate. One of the free options
as well. I'm a huge skepasti fan, and I have been for way since before the sponsorship as well. Way before
that. So yeah, there you go. Get down the Old Spring, our partners and our sponsors this season. Yeah, I feel like the last time I did a Sunday pod, just you and I, Caspel, it was after Swindon. It seems to be a theme here of you and I reviewing defeats. Yeah, the unbeaten run was our first home defeat, I'm pretty sure.
Right, yeah, okay, sorry. I was just like, we're just unbeaten in 2 games in a row, and my main stand 100% record has also gone, because I didn't go to the Harrogate game, so I saw obviously the 2 other games, which were both victories with clean sheets and all sorts. So disappointing day on Saturday for me. But it's not all about me. These records are not gonna persist that long, are they? Generally, if you know what I mean.
Well, why can't they? Why can't I go a whole season of seeing nothing but wins from the main stand? Why should I? Why should I have to see defeats? You're gonna sit there and go, well, look, this is part and parcel of being in League Two, aren't you?
No, I was gonna say, I think if you
reasonable and rational like that.
I think if you seriously wanted that, you should have watched that Cheltenham game on the first day and then gone, right, that's it, I'm not coming back. That's it, 100%, and I'm out.
It's done. Talking of good records, I checked my phone earlier. Went back to yesterday afternoon, 16:32.
Quite late that.
There was a message from your good self, Matt Caspel. Do you remember what it said? If you don't, I'm going to tell you now.
I just want to be clear. It wasn't an out of the blue message. It didn't just message you out of the blue, be like, we'll win this. But that is what I said at 4:32. But I think I was high on atmosphere and momentum, because we had both those for a sort of 10-minute spell.
Yeah, well, before that triple sub, mate. Yeah, so to clarify, Matt at 16:32 to the UTAS group shot down Swindle and said, we're going to win this 2-1. So my question to open the pod, Matt Caspel, is why did we not win 2-1 on Saturday?
I think I called Swindle a pleb at the same time as well.
Just not lying around the group
chat. I won't learn. I'll double down.
If you say it at enough people, you'll eventually get it right. But let's move on. Why did we lose? Why did we not win?
Why did we not win the game? From 4:32 or just in general?
Both.
Why didn't we win the game? I mean, I think probably start with Oldham. Give them a lot of credit, right? I actually thought I don't think we're going to play a more physical team than that this season. They were massive, as in just a bunch of really big blokes, really physical. Had a really high press, especially that first 20 minutes. They were like snapping into everything. Probably a question mark there for us about like appetite. Who really, from the eye test, who really looked like they wanted to win that football match maybe a little bit more. didn't feel like us, if you know what I mean. I felt like Oldham were really on it. And then, to be honest, they were really well organised. Their counter-attacking, I thought, was brilliant. They actually moved the ball very fast. Their goal was a really good example of that. They'd given us a warning sign when they hit the post sort of 10 minutes earlier, or whatever it was. And then we have to look at ourselves, right? I mean, from a United perspective, I thought, whilst we weren't a million miles away from where you need to be, just thought we sort of came up short in almost every department in some way, if you know what I mean. So we looked a bit rattled. We looked like we couldn't quite handle their physicality, to be honest. This ended up with quite a few, I guess, tactical changes in flight during the first half, which I know we'll get into in a little bit more detail. We couldn't really, it felt like we couldn't really defend them properly, I think, with the personnel that we had, which kind of led to the tactical changes that we saw. Obviously, Don Ball ended up dropping really deep to deal with their big number 9. And then from a, you know, I mean, there's been a lot of negativity, I think, after the game, which has surprised me a little bit how quickly and how deep that negativity has been. Because I thought for the first 20 minutes of the game or so, we actually put together some pretty convincing attacking football. Apare certainly has a chance, and you think, you know, if he flashes that in, we're 1-0 up and the entire complexion of the game is different. And then Sally Kaikai, also really early on, has a pretty good chance. You know, he's only 7 or 8 yards out. It's like a sort of weird header where he got stuck under the ball and just loops it. And again, football is funny and it's tight and interesting, but I just feel like if we had taken either of those chances, given Oldham's, you know, form, given Oldham's goal scoring record this season, I just feel like if we'd taken the lead in that game, I'm not sure they necessarily would have had enough to come back at us and actually get back into the game. So it could have been totally different. I mean, we'll get into sort of individual personnel, but I do think midfield as a department for us on Saturday was a major concern, I would say, just the way that it all went down, because it started to really take on notes of how that Newport game also went. Just have a feeling that Oldham are a bit better than Newport. And to be honest, I really believe Oldham probably will be at least top 10, if not in the playoffs, because I just think they looked boringly efficient, if you know what I mean. They look like a very organised, well put together side. And then midfield.
Experienced manager done his homework. That's what it felt like, you know.
Well, this was interesting on the message board, right? I haven't really flagged this, but the sentiment that the losses we've had this season have come up against all the sort of more experienced
it's a good point, you know, Holloway, Clark, Mellon.
It's interesting, isn't it? You know, it's just a bit of
I guess you could counter that by saying we did beat Darrell Clark in the league and we've also beat the Cowleys, so maybe it's not quite as clear cut. I think some really valid points there, Matt, and I think it's interesting you started with Oldham, because I think you're right. I think Oldham deserve credit for Saturday. You know, Harris said pre-game in the presser on Thursday that he felt Oldham had been unlucky this season so far. 4 draws, could have easily won some of those games, was unlucky against Gillingham. So it kind of felt like, obviously, the day it does click and they do get the victory, it'd be against us. It's very Cambridge United there. But I think they maybe didn't deserve to win, but definitely deserved not to lose. And yeah, I think they had a game plan which they worked very hard to stick to and executed it well. And once they got their noses in front, they had something to hold on to. And they're just really solid in defence. And yeah, you mentioned the press and how they were in midfield. They forced us to go long quite a lot and quite early, and it just didn't work for us at all. So yeah, definitely a factor as to why we didn't win is Oldham there. I do think there were some bad days at the office for quite a few people. You know, we're not going to go into every name, but I'm sure we'll have a few over the remainder.
Dig them out, mate. Go on.
Over the remainder of this pod. Oh, that will come. And then the other thing as well was just, I don't know, it just didn't feel particularly creative, and it felt to me like Saturday was a game that you just knew we had in the locker. You just knew we would have one of these, or more than one of these season, based on what we've seen in the 3 home games prior. So I know we didn't, you know, we won 2 of those and we've not lost at home, as we were saying, but there was something in those games where we're not scoring a lot of goals, not making a lot of chances, our chances seem to be a lot from sort of out wide or from set pieces. So you just knew that there would come a time where we don't manage to find that first goal or get ourselves ahead, and we have to come from behind, and we might not have enough in our in our arsenal to break down a stubborn team. So I think I saw sort of elements from all the home games prior to Saturday, which suggested we will have home games like that this season. So yeah, just a mixture of those three things for me is why we didn't win. Question from an avid listener and big fan of the pod who wasn't at the game on Saturday, wasn't watching. A gentleman called Tom Walker messaged in and said, "How bad was it on Saturday?" I'm not sure I would use the word bad. What about yourself?
I guess
I know I have just said people had bad days at the office.
Well,
and I think individually there were bad performances. But as a group, I don't think bad is the word I would use.
Well, I guess Walks is going off the reaction, right? So he's
pure vibes. He's a vibes man.
Well, he wasn't able to watch the game, so all he's got is what he gets from us on WhatsApp, I guess, or his other mates at WhatsApp who are watching the game. A bit of stuff on X, obviously famously a great place for content. And then the message board. And to be honest, the reaction to the game, as I said in the lead up, kind of has surprised me a little bit how negative people have been. I guess this is all about expectations, right? So most people, I think, when I see on the message board or, when you chat to your mates, most people I've spoken to this season, irrespective, even pre-season and up to now, kind of rate us as like a mid-table team, right? There's a bit of a range, right? There's a bit of we might, flirt with the playoffs mid-table, or I'm more, unfortunately, in the camp of we'll be well below it. If we'll be that sort of 14th was my pre-season prediction on the pod. I'm sticking with it, by the way, after 7 games. I still think that's how it might look unless January and transfer window throws up a bit different. So Walker's reacting from the pod. Everyone is I see around me is thinking we look like a mid-table team, but no one seems to be willing to accept that if we are indeed a mid-table team, then what we did on Saturday was just a very mid-table thing to do, which is take a good run of form. We have good home form. And, probably 1 in every 3 games, even maybe 1 in 4, 1 in 3, we're going to chuck in a dud, a turkey, a bit of a weird result where, football doesn't work like this, but you might have said we wouldn't have gone to Cole U and won the game, but we did, and we played really well. It was a gutsy performance. And if we're going to finish mid-table, then for every away win you get, you have to trade it off against some shit home performance loss, if you know what I mean. And I realize it sounds really pragmatic, and maybe people are expecting more of us and think we're going to be playoffs or, auto promotion, but I don't see it. I haven't seen it at any stage, really. I've not been entirely convinced by that just yet. But football is knife edge, right? So at 4:32, I was texting you lads saying we're going to win the game 20 minutes to go. If we had won the game, we'd be 7th or 6th or something, and be talking about unbeaten at home still, going up to Grimsby with, nothing to fear, and suddenly it can all swing around. So we're still really early in the season. So my view on this is it wasn't great. No, we didn't play very well. You could argue the Newport result also sort of papered over cracks because we perhaps weren't so compelling in that game either, but did enough to win the game. We kept a clean sheet. So you earned the right. I think you nailed it. You can't concede a goal in that game against that opposition and expect to have any kind of easy afternoon. We're not creating enough chances. Do you know what I mean? This is the real concern, is that if you do go 1-0 down in these games, are we going to have enough, clinical finishing or chance creation that you really feel like, we're really going to lay it on them? I think we only had 1 shot on target in the second half, which is us at home against a team that, whilst I thought Oldham were really good, are 19th. They've not won a game yet.
Newly promoted. Yeah.
Well, it needs to be more. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying we should have won the game. I think we didn't deserve to win the game. But I think if you're 1-0 down, to be honest, in any home game this season for us, we need to be creating more chances. Like that whippy moment of atmosphere, which is around the time I said I thought we'd win the game, where we had a bit of momentum, that should be sustained pressure that, pushes teams over. And I'm not not saying it's going to happen every time, but you just want to see a little bit more, basically. One of the lads, I think it's Walker actually himself on the UTAS chat, made a good point though, is that we lost 14 games in the season we got promoted out of this division last time,
including at home to who?
Including at home to Oldham, as it happens. And we tried to lose the away game as well from memory.
That was a great game. Yeah,
that was a great game. And that's not to say like, but so it's fine that we lost the game. Like, we're losing home games, but we are going to lose more home games. It's fine. I think League Two is weird enough. This will be a bit like me saying we're going to win. We're 20 minutes ago. I think League Two is weird enough, not just this season, but every year, where teams just win when they shouldn't, that we could easily go to Grimsby next Saturday and win the game. If you know what I mean. And suddenly the perspective is going to swing around again. But honestly, this theme that seems to be emerging, where we don't have consistency in results, I think it's going to persist.
Yeah.
All season long. I think there's never going to be a moment where it's like, oh, we're consistent now. I just think, we're going to see what happens. MK Dons were 3-0 down to Grimsby at home after like half an hour yesterday. So it's like, I do just think League Two is just a bit wild. And we've just got to make sure we keep accumulating points. The only other thing I'll say on League Two, generally, just try and keep everyone calm. When you go and look at the bottom 5 or 6 at the moment of League Two, it's absolutely horrifying. It's like a dystopian nightmare of what this season could have been for us, because it's like Cheltenham, Crawley. I mean, you look at the league table now, who else is down there? Accrington. There's a lot of teams that have bombed through League One in the last like year or two, who are now clinging to the bottom of this division. And one thing I will say with a lot of confidence is that I don't think we'll, as much I'm not convinced we might make the playoffs. I think there's no doubt in my mind we won't be anywhere near that sort of bottom 6 area. I really think we'll bump around sort of between 10th and 14th. And it would be nice if we get to March and we can still talk about the playoffs, basically.
Absolutely. Let's play my favorite game of Let's Review Neil Harris's review.
I love it. I haven't actually listened. Did he say the group? How many times did he say the group?
Well, I pulled out 2 statements to go through. The first one, he says, we certainly didn't deserve to win the game. I'm not saying we deserve to get beat either, but we didn't do enough to win the game, which I think is an absolute fair statement. And coming back to that question about, how bad was Saturday, I think for me, the reason that people are throwing in that word bad is just that it was turgid. Like the style of football did not pass the eye test. And if Neil Harris football teams playing that direct style are getting that goal and they're getting ahead in games, then you kind of sort of shrug it off. But when you're sort of doing it and you're chasing a game and you're lumping it long to big centre backs who are mopping it up, that's when I think people start to adjust their TV sets and start sort of questioning things. The next statement I pulled out for you is, we've touched on creativity, but we'll touch on it a little bit more, I think, Matt, because I think this is the big point from Saturday. We just weren't creative enough. But Neil Harris said, did we do enough with the ball? No, we didn't. And when we did get the ball into the final third, we just didn't have the creativity again. Interesting, he's used the word again there. Frustrated, perhaps. Yeah, well, this is an interesting one, right? So where's your head lie on the creativity point? Because there are creative players in the team. SK's having a great season. It seemed like Oldham did their homework on him and he had a quiet afternoon. Thought Ben Knight first half has had a better 45 minutes compared to recent weeks, but got hooked. We'll come on to that halftime switch to 4-4-2 because I do think it was the right thing to do. But yeah, it felt like on Saturday we've got this really talented midfield, but we weren't trying to knock it around. We weren't trying to play, and it felt like we just went long quite early. So, where's your head at with the theme of the topic of creativity in this current crop of players we've got?
Yeah, I mean it's a concern. It's definitely a concern. I think there was a feeling maybe with the Neil Harris team, this is a bit what a Harris team might look like. And we'll talk about it more later, I think, and we'll talk about it definitely when we talk about 4-4-2. I think if we wanted to play football, what we all perceive to be this Neil Harris way, which could be quite direct at times, then I think we've totally approached the transfer window completely wrong, in my opinion, if you know what I mean. And it's the same with 4-4-2 when we get onto it. Just feel like we've had a recruitment process transfer window that has not allowed us to play 4-4-2 properly. And I can't believe it. And in fact, no, it's got to do it now because I can't stop. The best 20 minutes I think we've played this season, the last 20 minutes against Newport when we went 4-4-2, which looked very potent in that 4-4-2. And sure, it's a soft team who are probably already a bit beaten. So maybe it's a bit self-fulfilling. But I don't understand. I mean, yeah, it was inevitable we're going to end in 4-4-2 again yesterday. It was the right switch to make for sure. But it was crying out for it. Oldham were playing 4-4-2 for fuck's sake, and they come to our place and they looked so good for it, if you know what I mean, because they had two blokes working together, working our line, so much so that our back four couldn't deal with their big number 9. They had to drop Don Ball into this pocket to deal with him, which kind of pushed us having a back 5, which looked a bit apologetic, to be honest. I think this all ties together with the creativity piece, and it gets awkward, doesn't it? Because, you know, we said not to dig individuals out, but Mpanzu was dreadful, like absolutely terrible. I'm going to say it.
He was dreadful, but I have a little bit of sympathy because it felt like we were playing kind of.
Well, he's in diamond. He ended up at the point of a diamond.
Well, in the first half, it felt like we were playing 5 in defence.
Yeah,
and it often was 4 because Purrington didn't go forward. At least Liam Bennett was going forward. So you had 5 in defence, and then Apare, Brophy, Kai, and Knight in attack. And it just felt like we had a midfield 1. And one of the things that we should credit Oldham for is they've got a good midfield. So yeah, I felt like Ruddock was getting overrun. That's not to completely take the edge off, because he did have a poor game, and it's important to flag that.
But there's mitigation from Mpanzu, and I know we've had some maybe feedback to the pod that we seem to have favourite players, not favourite players. There's mitigation from Mpanzu because
I've got no favourites since Wes left, but never mind.
Since Wes left, yeah, that's it. Since Brandon Houndstrop exited the club, it's just hard to really.
They're all plebs since then.
Well, that's it. Hard to get attached to anyone in the same way ever again. Look, Mpanzu gets some credit, mitigation, whatever you want to call it, because 2 things. One, he's got pedigree, so that he has a CV. He's played in the Prem quite recently. Doesn't make him a good footballer necessarily, but the credentials are there. Secondly, he's not had a proper preseason, so give him a bit of time. Same with all of them, really, in different ways. But give him time is what I would say, because there is a player in there, in my opinion. But he was absolutely awful. Let's be clear on that one match. I thought he was pretty bad. I think you're right. It was a bit of a victim of some of the changes, circumstances around him. I think he's been asked to play a role that doesn't really suit his strengths. I think an emerging theme for me is that I'm not sure, certainly at home in any of these league games, and Mpanzu and Ball next to each other is necessarily the right thing to do. I think always, and we're back into you're into a Southgate debate here or anything, I just do not think we need 2 of those deep lying midfield footballers in any home match this season in League 2. I just really don't see it. And then naturally, anyway, you're sort of moving towards the idea of having 2 up top anyway, because if you don't want a double pivot and you think Don Ball can maybe just do the cleaning up job on his own, then put that extra person up front and give Apare a mate. I thought Apare played decent, but was very exposed and left on his own to do a very hard job. This is what I touched on earlier, that I really felt the first 15 minutes of the game, also before they scored, I really thought we had quite a lot of control and fluency in the football match. We put together that really amazing move that came across from left to right. A very fluid piece of football. And you think if you end up with an end result there, then you're 1-0 up and the game changes completely. But yeah, I just think we ended up a bit sort of weirdly, I don't know, out of shape. And Mpanzu's not alone in being the only person you say maybe didn't play so well. I agree with you that Ben Knight, I thought, looked better, but not best, if that makes sense. So I don't know, it all got a bit confused in that we made 3 or 4 different tactical changes. I actually remember getting my phone out in the home end because I was like, God, I need to I need to actually note down what we've done here so that
Right. Well,
can
before
make sense of it when we get into it, if you know what I mean.
Before we get to the triple sub on the sort of 69-minute, because there's a lot to dissect there.
Yeah.
There was a change of shape. Just before we get there, a couple of things. So firstly, Mark has asked us, do you think we're better in a 4-4-2? I think you've already
100%
given us a resounding yes to
well,
that.
do you know what? This is like, I think most football teams are. And I'm going to go old school here, but I just sort of got a weird feeling. Most teams, I just think at home, it's not necessarily about 4-4-2, but I do think it's about the 2 at the end of the
that's my
thing, right?
That's my thinking. Like Apre up top on his own doesn't seem to be working. So, getting someone alongside him is a good response, I think. And maybe Kwasi didn't have the best afternoon on Saturday. I think he was good when it was just the two of them. I think he struggled when it sort of had more strikers next to him after that triple sub. So yeah, I agree. I quite like the 4-4-2. I'd like to see how that works, at least at home. I'm not sure if I would change the shape for Grimsby away because it's a different game. But before we get to the triple sub, the next point I wanted to talk about, obviously on match action, we went in 1-0 down at halftime, so we were already chasing the game, already behind before we made that 4-4-2 change. So positive from Harris that he made the change early and made the change at halftime. But we have to touch on the fact that we were 1-0 down, and we have to dissect the goal because there's a lot in there. I'm pretty sure it's 6:40 on Sunday evening. I'm pretty sure there's probably still a Cambridge United player stood in our 18-yard box with his hand up appealing for an offside. Did you feel like it was offside? It's always tricky with the camera angle to see if it was or not.
I really didn't. I think it was someone was sat super deep, not as a mistake, just from the breakdown of the play. So I remember looking at it because my angle is just sort of behind as you look at the goal from the NRA, just to the left of the goal these days. So I had a pretty good perspective on it. I just really felt like there was no word of an offside, if that makes sense.
I was relatively in line with it in my new spot in the B block, and it didn't feel like it was offside. But the goal was such a weird one because players were appealing, and it seemed to sort of slow down. Like everyone slowed down, apart from the lad who like bust a gut in to the box to get his tap in. Mellon Jr. I'll call him. Because it was so slow, it was kind of almost like I sort of didn't really take on board what happened. So I've had to watch back the highlights to really get my head around what happened. And to be honest, there's a lot there that I don't like, Caspel.
Quite a lot of mistakes, yeah.
We got Job.
Yeah.
Maybe could do better when he sort of takes the ball down instead of passing to Bull, but not the end of the world, that decision. The big one is Don Bull. Your text on Saturday comparing him to Jordan Cousins drew some responses. Big role in the goal for Don Bull. Obviously, Brophy. I feel like Brophy
got to foul the guy, right?
I feel like Brophy could have done a foul to stop
Just
it. Sort of
foul the guy,
get into the box, but then leaves the guy.
Well, no, he gets screened out. He does the old hands in the air thing where he's decided that's like a conscious choice to not foul him, which I sort of get as well because there's about 10 other bodies. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of bodies around it, so I don't think you don't know it's about to go in. So I don't think you immediately think, I've got to foul this guy, if you know what I mean. So I get why you let him go.
Well, you say a lot of bodies. I counted 4 players in our 6-yard box to their 1.
Yeah,
He's the one who seems to get on the end of it. So yeah, a lot there. I've covered the instances. How's your gut feeling after watching it back on the highlights just before we started recording?
I think there's more names to pull out, but yeah, no, Job's the touch is okay. The pass to Don Ball is mad, not just in its concept because he's put him in a really terrible situation by trying to play it to him anyway, but he absolutely smashes it at him. Did you see that when you watched it back?
Yeah,
he wings it at him from quite a short distance, which is not great. Ball is bad, obviously, but he is another victim in the whole breakdown of this bit of play. He does all right, doesn't he? He spins out and actually does really well with the ball he gets from Job. But then he just, goes Icarus and tries to do one too many, I think. Big, loose touch. I actually think what he does afterwards is worse because I just feel like once he'd lost the ball, I really felt like he could have just screened the guy and like sort of just shown him, just sort of slowed him down and made the next bit of play a lot harder. But instead, he just flies in on this challenge because he's pissed off, and he obviously just realizes he's lost the ball and thinks he's just going to hurtle into this challenge, which doesn't work. Eastwood, I want to talk about from watching it back. I'm not 100% convinced that Eastwood needs to come out and narrow the angle like he does. And by narrowing the angle like he does, he completely off the grid. So when the guy squares the ball, Eastwood's not even, he's in a whole other bit of the pitch, if you know what I mean, when the ball gets squared, which is why one of the reasons the guy's got a tap in is because the keeper is gone. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it would be really easy to look at that. And certainly in real time, I was like, that's all done ball. And then when you watch it back, you're like, oh, actually, there's a, Brophy might, probably could have, would have, should have done something different. Job has stitched ball up a little bit with the ball he plays into him. I think Eastwood maybe, this is when you're getting mega critical, maybe could have been a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Just sit there and let the defense maybe try and deal with it. And the guy doesn't score, I think, if Eastwood stays put. But it's just a mess, wasn't it? I mean,
it's a good point, actually. Like I'm just sort of watching it back as you say, yeah, he has come
I didn't think it in real time, but it's just when I looked at the highlights, I was like, I'm not sure he needs to necessarily go as committed as he is anyway.
Because Parrington's with the guy with the ball.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So, like, I mean, it's like I always say on the pod, it's very rare these goals ever are it's very rare it's one person. And this is a really good example because they've almost pulled up half the team being involved in that. But honestly, you said it at the start, it's the worst thing we could have done in that football match of all football matches, is to give that Oldham team that had only conceded 5 goals all season, but were winless, to give them the lead. Really, really made a very difficult afternoon for ourselves.
Well, we nearly got back in it. There was a change at half-time. Kouassi comes on, 4-4-2. I think we have a good 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes in that formation, during which time best chance of the afternoon for Cambridge United falls to Louis Apre. You mentioned he had a chance in the first half. The one in the second half, I feel, is going to be giving him nightmares. Has a shot cleared off the line. That was the moment, right, Caspel? That was the moment to spin the narrative of the game, swing the balance back towards us, and that goes in. Perhaps we then go on and maybe get all 3 points. I guess my first question for you is, should he have scored?
Yeah, I think he should have done, to be honest.
Because we're both in the camp of feeling that he did all the hard work.
He did brilliant.
He did all the brilliant work, did all the hard work before the shot.
Yeah. He did brilliant in the build-up. I mean, where he received the ball and how he received it was very similar to the goal he scored at Bristol Rovers in the League Cup, where it's sort of coming to his left-hand side, which is obviously not his favoured side. Obviously at Rovers, they kind of opened the floodgates, so he was just able to just whack it in the bottom corner. But this time had to do a lot of work. So yeah, he cut inside really well, like takes the defender off the grid completely, if you know what I mean. And then he sort of clears his feet and you think, oh, just whack it. Do you know what I mean? Like just hit that, just smash it in the anywhere in the goal, frankly, because he'd taken pretty much almost the keeper completely off the deck as well.
Mm-hmm.
It just looks like he's side foot finish. You know what I mean? Just looks like he rolls it.
One of the things
straight at Luke Hannon as well. It had to be Hannon, obviously.
Hannon had a good afternoon.
He did.
Shame he didn't take his top off so we could see his Scarface tattoo on his chest in
real
real life.
I forgot about the tattoo. Oh man, yeah. If anyone doesn't know what the hell we're talking about, I'm sure if you crawl next, you can find out. But Luke Hannon has, first of all, lots of interesting tweets about cryptocurrency. I think sort of pertaining to how he may have lost most or all of his money. And then, he's got a Scarface tattoo on his chest.
A big Scarface tattoo.
Scarface tattoo, which is pretty
almost as big as his contribution to the game, clearing it off the line.
That's it.
I Where was I going? All I can think about now is Luke.
4-4-2,
All I can think about is Luke Hannon with his top off.
Well, that's it.
Right. It feels like not long after that chance.
Oh, Lord.
Oh no, what I was going to say is actually on the replay, what I don't remember in real time was not Luke Hannon, but another Oldham player absolutely bust a gut to sort of get back and slide across. And I just wonder if he's taken a little deflection, a little something off the shot. But either way, should definitely have scored, in my opinion. Right, and then it felt like not long after that Caspel, Neil Harris rolls the dice, 69 minutes, triple sub, Kachunga on, Lavery on, and Mayer on for his debut. Brophy, Apparet, and Bennett going off. Didn't have the desired effect. It felt like after that point, the momentum we had ceased. And to be honest, it feels like we created very little in the final 20 minutes. If you look at the highlights, both the short version and the extended version available on CUFC TV,
highlights. Yeah.
It feels like pretty much all the highlights towards the end of the reel are Oldham chances. You know, the free kick, the breakaway at the end. So I guess my question to you, Caspel, we spoke about people having a bad day at the office, but of those that had a poor game on Saturday, would you say Neil Harris was one of those? With his not just this sub, but you know the other tactical decisions that he made and that we discussed prior on this pod.
I don't know. I like that he was proactive to change stuff. He, quite a few changes in flight during that first half, particularly when their keeper went down, I think, and they all the players went for a water break, came over to you in the B block zone.
Yeah, saw them all. It felt like I was there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was at that moment that a lot changed. So the wingers swapped over. We went to 3 at the back. Pelly pushed forward, so I sort of respect his willingness or his ability to make changes fairly proactively early on in the game. Yeah, I mean, look, he's our manager, so he has to take some share in the responsibility for what's happened. But I don't think, I don't know what else anyone would suggest, right? I get the shape. So the 4-4-2 I've already covered, and I reckon we'll be banging on about this in 3, 4, 5, 6 months' time. Still probably March, April, I'll still be saying we should be playing 4-4-2 at home in pretty much all these games, and probably even in most of the away games, frankly. And I don't think we have the personnel to do it properly with any kind of depth, which is a problem in my opinion. So yeah, I think Harris has to take some of the blame. I think the biggest crime that was committed, and this is a crime against all of football, is that we made a triple sub and Purrington and Mpanzu somehow, I actually couldn't believe it what I was seeing when they both remained on the pitch, but we did take sort of Liam Bennett and Brophy off, taking some of your more creative ball carrying footballers and your top goal scorer. And I'm not saying Brophy had a good game. I'm not saying Bennett had a good game. I don't think many people actually covered themselves in glory, but I was properly confused about
why are you hooking Bennett? Why are you hooking Bennett to then put Kai as right wing back? That made no sense.
Unless there's stuff we don't see, like there are knocks or fitness, or there's a bigger consideration. But like again, with respect to Pelly, he looked totally gassed after about 70 minutes, like not moving, not making it, not showing for the ball, not really doing much of any job, not getting forward, not getting back, just kind of caught in no man's land because his fitness probably isn't quite where it needs to be to do these full 90s. So give him a bit of slack on fitness, but surely sub him off. Like even after the triple sub, I think we still had one more sub we could make. It's like the guy's just tanking here, just get him off the pitch, if you know what I mean. So I was like, I mean, I see your point in the question. I do think the triple change sapped our momentum, if you know what I mean. It's a really tricky thing to do. But I do feel like Neil Harris on occasions has been a bit guilty when we're chasing games of sort of, he goes very kitchen sink, if you know what I mean. It's very much like
we're
gonna bin the entire midfield and we're just gonna have like
all the attackers on.
Well, it's like 3 3-5-6 or whatever, 3-7, whatever the formation needs to be. It's like there isn't really midfield, or it's like 3-1-6 sort of setup, and people just get lost and confused, and we're not really playing at that point with any kind of finesse. So we're just sort of launching the ball. But again, it comes back to recruitment. If we're going to launch the ball, like get Lofty back or like sign a real target man. So if you do want to do that in the last 10 minutes of the game, so you feel like you need to, you've got the personnel, because like CUFC is decent in the air. Like he won a bit, and they were smart. They put him out against the fullback, all the way across against their left back, so he would win a bit. Mm-hmm. But it's not really the answer, is it? Just have like, it doesn't have to be Lofty, obviously. I mean, poor bloke got himself sent off, didn't he? But
yeah, that's in the running order, mate. That's coming up.
Poor bloke. It's such a not red as well, by the way. But
it's coming up in the running order because we're coming to the positive section of the pod.
Right, I see.
It was a skepasti Saturday, so we've got to have some positives in this. Yeah. So one of the positives, it was going to be the final one, is Lofty got a red card on his debut.
Oh, I feel sorry.
I agree. Him. Wasn't a second yellow at all, mate.
Anyway, no. Look, this triple sub. It's not like the thing is. It's really unbalanced or not very nuanced to say. It's like he killed the momentum, if you know what I mean, because the momentum was on its way out at that point anyway. I think Adam Mayer looked really good, by the way. Like, great long throw, which is good.
You're just reading the running order now.
Let me read the running order. Where is it?
Yeah, let me read off the positives here.
Yeah, go on. So, there is a Mayer. There is a Mayer point. All right, go on.
So I was going to say exactly that. Mayer looked lively when he came on, plus another contender.
Yeah, that's like a long throw. That's a Rory Delap long throw, though. It's quite flat. It's quite an aggressive, good long throw.
So I spoke about it with Julian earlier in the season. And sort of the George Williams barometer is how we're judging the long throws, because we're talking about how Gibbons has a long throw that I didn't realise. We're talking about how Job's got a long throw, but we seem to not utilise it, because I think the idea is he's good in the air, so maybe
which he was never. By the way, can I just say we didn't send him forward for any of them, so it makes no sense to me whatsoever.
But yeah, now another option for long throw. Yeah, Mayer looked lively, I would say.
I thought it looked good. Yeah, he put himself about. You could see he was trying to do a lot. I mean, I liked his actual desire to do something. If you know what I mean, looked really high. So he was really trying to get the ball, really trying to force the play. It didn't all quite work out for him, but you could see there's something there to work with. Something to be maybe a little bit excited about.
Good options. Another positive. Do you want another positive?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on.
Despite what we said earlier for his role in the goal, I thought it was a good performance from Eastwood. A couple of big saves in there on Saturday, so worth praising Eastwood, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah. If you ignore his small role in the goal, I thought he did do well. I thought the free kick save
was terrific.
Wow, I think it looked better than it was, but yeah, because it was on his side. But no, it was a good save. They all need saving.
It was absolutely moving, though, wasn't it?
It was travelling. No, the guy absolutely whacked it. I think any keeper should save anything that's on their side of the equation, and he did save it. And you have to give keepers the full credit you can give a keeper is that he did his job, so he absolutely kept it out, and he looked generally assured around it. The only criticism I've got, we can be nitpicky because we're supposed to be playoffs or whatever. That early chance Oldham had when they hit the post,
yes,
I very much feel like he should probably have come and tried to do something with that ball, because that was a clipped cross right across the 6-yard box. And it went right. It was very deep, if you know what I mean. And I really feel like he should have been there. And he got a bit marooned. So he wasn't even trying to save it, nor was he trying to stop it. I think the goal, he had a bit of a roll in, obviously not a big one. It's a small bit part player in the goal. It's hard being a keeper, isn't it? Because it's like, yeah, apart from that, he's had a really good afternoon. Oldham actually have not created very much or have very many chances. And the stuff he had to deal with, he dealt with very well. So yeah, I do think he actually had a good game, but it's brutal, isn't it? Because the two moments, well, the one where they did score and the one where they nearly scored, I felt like he had a fairly big role in both of those, if you know what I mean.
I think you could also say that if it wasn't for Eastwood, they probably do get a second goal. Like, that was a good stop at the end for the sort of the
when the guy was throwing
breakaway chance. Yeah. Although maybe the guy not with the best.
No. I mean, again, like, give keeper as much credit as you can. He was 1-on-1 with their striker. He saved the ball. It didn't go in the net. There's nothing more that you can do. Do you know what I mean? It's unfair as a keeper because your ceiling is quite low and the floor drops from Miles. There's a big old trapdoor. So he literally did his job as best as he absolutely could do in that situation. And if they'd gone 2-0, we'd have been completely finished. So
got a final positive for you.
Yeah.
Another elaborate thigh pass
so
back.
Good.
I think it was Stan on X who asked this. How long until an increasingly elaborate need back pass costs us a goal? Never. It's not going to happen, in my opinion.
Well, Tom Walker's convinced it's going to go wrong at some point, but I just think this is great. This was like it's like a French Renaissance painting, the pose he ended up in, if you know what I mean, like a boudoir painting, like just literally as elaborate as it can get. I think after did it make the highlights? Is there going to be a way to do it? I feel like we need to find a way to still frame. That's
a great shout. The guy that does the video for the club needs to at the end of the season do a thigh pass.
Like a montage, like a Brian's gun thigh pass. But what I want here is specifically the still frame of this thigh pass, or like a little GIF of the thigh pass, because this one is immaculate. What I'll say now is, if anyone,
how tempted are you to go back and watch it on iFollow, just so
the whole game, so I can do it? No, I'll say now, if anyone does it for us and sends it to us on X or on Substack, obviously abbeystand.com.
We'll give you a free coconut tier subscription.
No, I was going to buy someone a skepasti, mate. They can have a skepasti and a beer, assuming we're allowed to spend the coconut tier millions on this stuff.
That's £15 you're giving someone. That's good. That's good value.
That's great. That's a huge amount of value if they do that and tag us in it. Because should
we put some parameters in here that it's limited to the first person? Because if 100 people send it in,
10,000 people suddenly are really interested in Kelwatt's thigh back passes. No, mate. I mean, Jules has got all the cash, so just let him worry with Jules can do the admin,
Right. Final question then for the pod. Obviously, we'll preview the Grimsby game in full detail in the preview pod, which comes out, Caspel, on a Friday, not a Thursday. I think Grimsby, though, will tell us a lot about this squad. Gut feeling on a Sunday. How are you feeling about that away game?
Yeah, I'm pretty nervous, to be honest. Just feel like we're running into Grimsby at a not great time to run into them. Obviously, they, fairly famously beat Man United a few weeks ago, which is not great for us.
Well, on pens, come on.
Well, yeah, but then also obviously screamed into that 3-0 lead against MK on Saturday.
Nearly threw it away, though. They
tried to mess it up to against 10 men, so that is a little bit of optimism for us. No, I mean, I'll reel back to what I said earlier. I think League Two is odd, odd in the results that it throws up. So if we're looking for reasons to be optimistic, I just genuinely believe we can go up there and get what would be a bit of a surprise of a result. For all the negatives, I guess, or some of the drawbacks of Neil Harris football at home, when you're supposed to be the team that is, on the front foot and taking it to other teams. Neil Harris teams are very well set up to go into these kinds of away fixtures, I think, and kind of draw the oxygen out of the game. Like maybe for the first time this season, it's going to be a game we go into where we're really unfancied, if you know what I mean. Probably will be by the betting odds. I think probably be our hardest game of the season. And that might suit us right now after coming off the result we're coming off. So I think Harris is pretty wise and, smart with how to approach it. Obviously, the boys will get into it on the preview pod, but I think we probably will see a few changes. I think if you're going to look for a positive from the Oldham result, having had an unchanged team for a few weeks, this might be the catalyst, I guess, for a bit of change. I think I would be personally a bit surprised and disappointed if Purrington retains his place now. I think that's been a bit of pressure on him for a few weeks with Bradshaw having looked as good as he has. But maybe they might offer Purrington because he's more solid. I don't know. I think it'd be hard to justify probably for Mpanzu to get a start off the back of that. I think reasonable to say he might look a bit tired and needs a bit of rotating anyway. We've not even talked about Kachunga. Do we have to?
Absolutely not. Let's move on, man.
Has a triple sub ever been? God, has someone ever been less impactful. Like, to be fair to Kachunga, I feel a bit sorry for him because it's quite a hard situation to come into. It didn't go very well for him, did it? To be fair, Lavery's getting away with a lot because also nothing from Lavery in that little cameo, which is also fine and totally understandable and game relevant, if you know what I mean. But another positive for your list of positives is that we've got now a fairly fully fit squad. Obviously, Corey Smith and Morrison are sort of slated to maybe be back fit also for Grimsby, certainly around the squad. So as they all come back to fitness, hopefully, and everyone kind of keeps it together the next few weeks, we should see hopefully the best of us and what we're capable of. And I'm really hoping it's a bit more positive. Like, yeah, I think we're going to finish mid-table, but it'd be nice to be wrong and we're actually like 8th, 7th, 6th in the league. Do you know what I mean? And I can start to think about eating a bit of humble pie because maybe we actually are going to be more like playoff contenders, if you know what I mean. So Grimsby will be fun anyway. It's always a great away day. Got great memories there from years gone by. FA Trophy and Ryan Bird and Maxwell saving a penalty, and probably we've lost there about 10 times. You know,
I think Mullin got his 20th goal of the season early. Yeah. It was early January, Grimsby away. Obviously, we weren't there for it, but remember enjoying it on TV.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I think we've chewed the fat off of Oldham pretty well. Caspel, it's been a pleasure. Thank you everyone for listening. A final reminder to check out our sponsors, the Old Spring. If you're not going to Grimsby, the Matchday deals will still be on. And if you're feeling sensible with your money, think about signing up for the coconut tier. £5 a month, you get an exclusive article each week, some extra pods in there as well, and no one calls you rude words. Cheers for your time, Caspel.
Thanks, mate.
See you soon, everyone.